r/AskReddit. My mom is an anti-vaxxer, flat earther, conspiracy and religious nut, and used to think my dad was Satan's minion. Ask me anything. A bit of backstory for my parents. They divorced when I was 8. It was an extremely nasty divorce, but that was due to my mother. She remarried a year later to a guy who had the same mindset as her, meaning that they tended to feed off each other. Think Heaven's Gate, but not as crazy. As for me, I was homeschooled by my mom until grade 10. I'm also the oldest of 9 children. 3 of the 8 share the same mom and dad as me. 5 are half siblings who share the same mom. I am a 19M and a college student. I decided to live with my dad at the age of 15, and I have yet to move out. Feel free to ask me anything, and I'll try to respond as best as I can. Edit. I am seeing some common questions, so I'll answer them here. I'm vaccinated. I go more in depth somewhere down there. No, my mom has not been diagnosed with any illness. Some people were curious about the church I went to. The preacher's name was David J. Smith. His church was located in Waxahachie, Texas, and he was crazy. My personal beliefs are agnostic for those who were wondering. Congrats on your escape. Thank you. It was rough, but I would like to think I came out okay. My mother is also an anti-vaxxer/conspiracy nut. I want to go for medicine. Currently in college for a biomed degree. How should I tell my mother I don't agree with her anti-vaxxer beliefs? Note, parents are also paying for my education, so I am afraid that I tell them, they will cut me off. But I have to tell them eventually since med school requires recent vaccinations. What do you suggest I do? Okay, here comes a tough question. Are you grateful of anything she did for you, besides cleaning your ass when you were 1 year old? Or maybe this one too if it does not make you feel uncomfortable. Are you ashamed to have a mom with that way of thinking? I can't think of anything, but I can respect that she believes what she did was right in her own way. Forgiveness, however, is a much harder thing to come by. At this point I am not ashamed, but I can remember thinking, why do you do this? At some point, I accepted that we just have different ways of thinking, and it is, their minds just don't think the way a normal person does. What do you think makes people susceptible to these kinds of thoughts? Also, where are you from? My parents are from Nebraska, but they moved to Texas and had me. As for the people who are more likely to do this, I am no expert, but I feel like it's people who want to be special. It's sort of like racism. They know more because God revealed it. They are chosen. They are better than others because God chose them and not you. And if you don't agree then you are a sinner. In other words, it's people who didn't grow out of their middle school phase of wanting to be different. Besides anti-vax and flat earth, what other conspiracies does your mom believe in? Much like your dad, I find them fascinating but don't believe in them. I can't even list all of them, but to give you an idea, Nephilim, Illuminati, Holocaust was fake, 9/11, Skull and Bones, reptiles, flat earth, anti-vax, moon landing, demons among us, satanic rituals, hurricanes is punishment from God, hidden bunkers, 4WW3 UFOs, government agents spying on us, chosen few, one world order, and a million others I can't think of. If you can't name the conspiracy, I can probably remember if she does or not. Do your siblings share the same thoughts as your mom? This is a tricky one. One of my brothers, 16, lives with my dad as well. He is just a normal high school student now, and definitely does not believe it. My sister, 14, and youngest brother, 11, still spend 1 week with my dad and the next with my mom. Used to be my dad saw us every other weekend. As for how they believe, they don't buy into the crazy stuff. How do I know? My mother has many rules, all of which apply when they are at my dad's. After all, God is always watching. They don't follow any of them here. They basically live double lives. Sometimes I have to drop them off at my mom's, and the amount of prep they have to do to get away with it is sad. As for the 5 that are my half siblings, they don't know any better. I had my dad to keep me at least somewhat normal, but they don't have anyone like that. They are also very young, the oldest being 9. I truly hope they can push through everything and live for themselves. Can you elaborate more on the rules your siblings are supposed to follow, and how they need to cover their tracks before they go back to her house? No makeup, no tight pants, no print on shirts, no dyed hair, no revealing clothes, no phones except the flip phone given to them. Zitsis, and my sister needs to wear a head cover. It was a matter of changing and washing the face, and they had to hide the phones my dad gave them. How do you think your mom would react to pineapple on her pizza? Joke's on you. She doesn't believe in pizza. Have her beliefs ever put you or your siblings in harm's way? Does she still homeschool your siblings? Before my dad got me vaccinated, I got sick. I mean really sick. I had red bumps all over me, and I could have very well had measles. I will never know. However, since my mom does not believe in modern medicine, I got oil of oregano for my treatment. By far the worst moment of my life. I had it for around 3 weeks, and then got a second infection, which I think was severe strep. Overall, I was bedridden for over a month. My brother almost died of pneumonia as well. He turned blue before we talked her into getting him to the doctor. His lungs were almost over 40% clogged, and was hospitalized for 2 days. As for homeschooling, yes, she homeschools my half siblings, 3 of which are over a year behind. Did you grow up hearing your mom listening to Alex Jones? Also, did she ever talk about reptilians? Short answer, yes. Long answer, when it comes to conspiracies, I consider myself at this point a pro just by living with my mother. Speaking of Alex Jones, the head preacher of the church I went to was on his show once. His name is David Smith. You might be able to Google him. If you want to, type in Waxahachie, Texas as well. That was the location of the church. Can't remember the exact name of it. As for reptilians, the Clintons were one of the groups disguised as humans. Pretty sure Obama was considered one as well. Given that degree of crazy, how did your upbringing affect your personal convictions? Good question. After going through what felt like hell, I definitely have a much more critical view of religion and conspiracies. My mom is the fire and brimstone type, and I just didn't agree, even back then, with her beliefs. I was told that not believing what I was taught was grounds for eternal damnation. So I went through sort of an existential crisis back then. Now, I don't really have any beliefs concerning religion. I just try to be a good person day to day. After all, that's all we really can do. Would you rather have stayed for your mom or dad? And would your dad take you to be vaccinated? I'm asking this because my parents joke about says who would choose to be with, sorry if it's sensitive or something. My dad, no doubt about it. Living with my mom was dull and boring. Too many things were bad. Too many things weren't allowed. Couldn't even go outside a lot of the time. I got vaccinated without my mom knowing until after the deed was done. My dad took me in when he had me, then dropped us back at mom's. Unfortunately, my youngest brother told my mom, and we were forced to stay in our rooms in quarantine for around a month. 0/10. Would not tell my mom again. Vaccines though, am all caught up to date. So your youngest brother ratted you out for something that was 100% crucial to your survival? Did he bought into her beliefs as well? No, he was just nurtured that way. I was supposed to make sure they didn't sin, and he was supposed to tell my mom everything we did over the weekend. Please remember, he was just a baby, maybe 5. He just didn't know what would get us in trouble. If he was about to say something that would get us in trouble, I would normally give him a certain look so he knows not to say it. Worked wonders actually. One look and he would stop in his tracks. But my mom caught him when I wasn't around. When your mom becomes the next Manson, would you turn her in? If she was about to murder someone, absolutely. Were you fed differently or did you do things that were weird but thought were normal? Oh, the food. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. My mom was a bad cook, but her beliefs kept her from buying certain things. So it was mainly beans and rice, minimal seasoning. Sometimes she would make spaghetti, and it was awful. She would overcook the noodles, then proceed to mix tomato paste and sauce together, and dump it in. She then would use only garlic powder as a seasoning. So much that it would burn your mouth and water your eyes every bite. If it wasn't finished, put in the fridge for later use, and add more garlic as needed. Not much love between me and my stepfather, but that man had a stomach of iron. How did your dad last 8 years with her? Believe it or not, He introduced it to her. My grandmother was very similar to my mom, so he has a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to the Bible. He didn't actually believe it. He just found it interesting. Kinda like trivia. My mom, on the other hand, found herself agreeing with a lot of it. She also wasn't always like this. They had met when they were 16 and married at 18. At that time, she was normal. My dad also tended to keep her in check. In fact, my life up to the divorce was rather normal, if you ignore the crazy church we went to. Did she try to teach you about anti-vax, flat earth and other things when you were homeschooled? It wasn't part of the curriculum per se. She used a Beaker book, which is from Pensacola Christian College. She definitely tried to push it on us though. I remember the video she showed us. The title was something like 100 facts that prove the earth is flat. You can probably find it on YouTube. This video was actually one of the reason I left. It was full of bullshit. And seeing my mom and stepdad wholeheartedly agree with it showed me they had no idea what they were doing.